Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Imperium Calling Nationalist Culture Review, Episode 2. Today, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce a wonderful, wonderful guest, a legend in the publishing industry, creator of AUREUS Press, Brendan.
Hello.
Hurd. How are you doing today?
Hello. Thank you for the sparkling intro.
And I am your host, Donald Kent. Welcome back again. This show is, we have people on from different countries and different time zones, so we have a little flexibility with the time, but I do advertise these shows. Today's Thursday. I believe you're somewhere in Europe right now. Is that correct, Brendan?
Ireland, yeah. I've lived in Ireland for, 15 years, more, 17 years.
I envy you. I truly envy you. That's
well, you wouldn't envy it right now. It's a fucking rain for months of cold rain, flooding.
Oh, well, that's what whiskey's for.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's lovely to have some friends in the chat. Guys, stick around towards the end. We're going to be opening the chat room for questions, comments, and all forms of tomfoolery. So let's do a quick intro about who is Brendan Hurd, what is AUREUS Press, and give us a little background. So just for people who are new to you and your content.
Okay. Yeah. Jesus.
Wow, that's a tough question.
How deep do I go into the whole fucking...
When did you start?
What's the summary?
When did you start AUREUS Press?
Oh, AUREUS Press. Well, yeah. When did I start? Around the time I just wrote the first book.
Okay.
My art book, the nonfiction about art, complaining about modern art, basically.
Oh, you and I are in the club together on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, that was back in. Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off.
That was back in 2017, so almost 10 years ago now.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Because I pretty much came on the scene around 2016. So it seems like we're kind of like brothers from another mother here. We've been doing content development. And so you've been into publishing all that time, am I correct?
Well, I wrote the first book. You write a book and you think, okay, well, I'm going to try this, and you don't know what's going to happen. And it did fairly well. It did the best out of all the books I did so far, to be honest. I think nonfiction tends to reign supreme in terms of interest. I heard this from somebody else. Who did I hear that from? I remember that guy, that crazy guy, that born-again Christian guy. Vox Day was going on about this.
Vox Day.
Yeah. But he does publishing too, and he's been doing it longer than me or you. And I remember him saying that the nonfiction books sell twice as much easily as fiction.
Sure.
But fiction's much more fun, obviously, and whatever.
Let's back up just a tiny bit, because Imperium Calling is very, very much about the arts, clearly the arts of nationalist culture, right-wing culture, underground dissident right culture, etc. And I'm personally deeply invested in creating content for our people. And so this topic of art critique and what's wrong with modern art, could you go into that? Maybe give us a little bit of an exposition about what the book is. What are your thoughts on that and how it relates to nationalism?
All right. Okay. Yeah, because it's in the writing of that it really became a little bit political, which I never intended to. You can't really escape it, though, these days. I still sometimes think I shouldn't be. I should avoid it. Like, what's the point, kind of thing?
It's hard to be honest.
It's very hard, yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible because it leaches into everything. But so I went to art school. Probably, did you go to art school as well?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, I have a fine art degree, art education degree, a master's degree, and
you got a master's. How did you live out? How did you do it long enough to get a master's? Holy shit! I could not have lived through that to get a master's.
I know it accelerates your aging process. It's crazy. No. Well, that was in
fun.
Education. Yeah,
it was fun, but it was horseshit. It was total horseshit. It was nonsense.
Mine was educational technology, and I'm applying that in the somewhat near future, in the year ahead of me. I just and then I've been a freelance artist for so long. I published my book on Imperium art, which people can get in the. By the way, all the links to Brendan's books. My books are all in the chat, rather not in the chat, in the show description. Top left corner, you can see a QR code if you feel like giving me a donation at Venmo. Can hit it up there. But absolutely check out Aureus Press today. The link is below. Send it to your friends, your family. Buy all the books there, and we're good to go.
Yes, do that. Thank you for the plug. Yes, please do go to Aureus Press and buy my book. So, like, I wrote that book, and then I since then I've done nothing but fiction, which it sells. It's worth doing, and I think it's more important to actually be making art than just kind of complaining about art. All
right, show's over. Goodbye. No, we're not. We don't complain. But that's not what this show's all about.
Well, I wrote a whole book fucking complaining. I mean, I did. That was, you wanted the summary of the book. Like, I can do it fairly quick. I think I just because I went to art school, because I was involved in wanting to be an artist, and I kind of got just so totally dismayed by the world of art as it stood. Sure. And then somewhere along the line, honestly, I've said this a bunch of times, but really it was just a book I picked up. I remember something clicked in my head when I bought a book on Victorian painting, one of these Taschen books, big thick one. Yeah. And it was one of the few or only sort of textbooks on historic art, because it was focused slowly on the Victorian period, and it had no bullshit in it whatsoever. It didn't even touch on, I don't think it had any even, there's certainly no Duchamp or any of the early stuff. There was just pure, beautiful Victorian paintings from start to finish, pre-Raphaelites and all the rest of it. So it occurred to me that there was an era. It just somehow, you think it was obvious to everybody, but that there was an era that this modernist nonsense did not exist. There was no rubbish people going out, with making splatters or doing nonsense performance art, or, it just kind of clicked in my brain that this thing was an imposition that had occurred, had happened to art, and had turned it all into nonsense.
100%.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of me. And so ever since then, I had that book in me wanting to come out. And I finally spent, I don't know how many years, a couple years getting it out of me. Covered it in the broadest sense I could. I talked about everything in there, religion, and invariably in deducing what had happened and what went wrong, it made me political in this way that we are.
Because I'm actually I'm in the research process of writing a book, like very much like what you just described. So I have my own kind of theories and questioning strategies to that. And I want to ask you, do you feel that there was an intentional usurping of our Western narrative to deconstruct Western man, or do you feel that that's maybe too conspiratorial? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, absolutely. Yeah, it really, yeah, definitely. It wasn't really me. The first person, I mean, there's several books that have been buried, that came out between, since in the years when all this kind of started in the early 20th century, really. I mean, arguably late 19th, but really it gathered steam in the early 20th. And I've come across them. I looked up a few when I was researching it. Mostly they get buried and forgotten. The most famous probably was Tom Wolfe.
Okay.
And his, what was it called now? I can't remember. The Painted Word, I think.
Okay.
And he, this is back when you could just say these things without getting in trouble. He's never been canceled or anything as far as I know.
Yeah.
After the fact, he's obviously dead now, but he spoke of the kings of Cultureberg, he called them. I brought this up in the book, right? And there was all these guys with Berg in their last name.
Oh, wow.
That were, and he was just blatantly saying it, like, why are these guys, why have these guys commandeered the definition of art? Why are they all the critics, and why are they in charge of?
Yes.
Yeah, he said it all, right? So he said it all.
So Mossad took him out, is what you're saying.
Well,
no,
whatever.
Yeah.
The main culprit, I'm not sure he said this, but I kind of, in looking into it, deduced the main culprit was Clement Greenberg.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh yeah, because I'm already on that. But go on. You can feed the audience some information about.
So he really invented the language of art criticism, which is really the whole trick of it, really, which is to make this flowery, pseudo-intellectual psychobabble. That is in your praising and the criticism of the of the squiggles and the boxes and the silly shit.
He championed abstract expressionism, and of course with the help of the Guggenheim, that's obviously a small hat institution and others. So this is a enormous rabbit hole, and I'm really excited to hear your information on this. I'm going to pick up your book because I feel that it's going to be quoted in my book, basically.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah.
Here's an interesting short story. Last night, I'm doing research. Obviously, AI is a fantastic research tool, but clearly, once it catches on to your agenda, then it starts like waving the finger at you and debating you instead of telling you what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And so
I avoid it. Yeah.
right, I got into that corner, and I scolded AI, and then I said, "Listen, I'm going to reframe the entire question." So I started off by saying, "Let's say you, Grok, are a small g god, and you've created a country and populated it with people that you've created. What kind of art? What kind of art would you encourage the people of your country to make if you wanted them to be healthy and happy, prosperous?" Living well together with nature and all of the good things of humanity? Would it be pre-modern and postmodernism, or post, modern postmodernism, before or after? And then it clearly said, oh, 100% it would be pre-modernism, because and then it listed all these great things that we have in our natural culture, in our artistic narrative, who we are, all the glorious stuff about being the Western kind, And then I flipped the question over and I said, now let's, reanalyze this. What would be, let's say now there's a new God, and he's an evil God, and he wants to destroy your country. He wants to kill your people off. He's depopulating them. Which art form would he encourage them to do? And that would be postmodernism, because it's nihilism and diversity. All, and it just I found that kind of like just wow, that I had that conversation per se with AI, and that it pointed all that stuff out. It's so black.
You can put that in your book. Put that little
1,000%
anecdote in your book.
Yeah. So you're a culture builder. Then this is your hero in my eyes. This is people like you and other people, White Art Collective and so forth. We're making the culture that is kind of taking it away from the woke culture, from the all the garbage that we were goy slop type culture that we have to choose from out there. And I know that we're just small potatoes. We don't have multi-million-dollar budgets and all that, but I'm really happy to have you on the show, and thank you for having me on your show. I don't know when that was, a year ago or something like that.
Was it already? No, it wasn't. It must have been 6 months, maybe. Year? I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm losing track of time here.
Me too.
Anyway, so let's get right into it. Let's look at your site. Let me pop this on the screen for a second here. Give us a little introduction to Guts. What the heck is Guts?
Right. So this is the latest thing. I am working on several things at once here that are coming out. There'll be another Aegeon coming out soon. That'll be a full color thing. But Guts was just I always wanted to put kind of a heavy metal style, mostly graphic, kind of weird fantasy story thing together that was no holds barred in the sense that those, particularly heavy metal and some these old magazines that used to be around that used to get when I was young, that just kind of vanished in the fog of feminism and different things.
Oh boy, what a way to put it.
Well, I noticed that they used to have the rack in the grocery store where you'd get Conan Saga and heavy metal and all this stuff, and then that all eventually was nothing but Good Housekeeping and maybe some golf or something like that. These things used to be everywhere. So I'm definitely got taken out somehow. Anyways, but so I've always wanted to produce something like that. Even some of those mags are still around. Heavy metal is still around, but it's just kind of I don't know what they're doing. I didn't see them doing anything memorable, for a while. Some guy got was it Pedro Gonzalez emailed me, and he got new Weird Tales, the old Weird Tales that he was still around. He bought one of their latest things, and it did actually look not too bad. Looks like they're trying to ditch some of the woke shit and be a bit more
cool.
I don't know. I didn't read it myself, so I can't say. He seemed to be impressed by the look of it anyways.
Okay.
But anyways, I was trying to harken back to those things, and really the theme was to be no holds barred, like lots of nudity, lots of gore.
Yeah.
The whole so that's the part that throws people off. I think a little bit. People looking for what as you refer to as nationalist content, and they figure it's unhealthy to not be all just Greek busts and classical music and Catholicism or whatever.
All right, so
but I'm just trying to make art that is just kind of, you know, balls out and like of an old-fashioned sense, and in no way the sort of derogatory ephemera we've had for the last whatever these 20 years more. I don't know how long. 20 years, more than 20 years.
On screen right now, I've got an example of Eerie magazine. This is the type of magazine that I believe you and I both grew up with, because I was crazy about this stuff. I still collect it quite a lot, and you know, you've got, it's sort of the Frank Frazetta world of Babes and Monsters and Conan and all of that. And you know how this fits in with nationalism is that it's unapologetically masculine. And the core of leftism is this kind of negative femininity. It's feminism, you know, writ large, I guess. And so this is, you know, it doesn't have to say nationalism on the, you know, on the cover of it or whatever. It's not about that. It's this kind of us celebrating this type of thing again. So anyway, I just thought I'd give the audience a quick peek at that, and then
that would be the override. You're right. The overriding factor would be it's unabashedly masculine, and it doesn't try to do any kind of poserish, you know, like poserish, holding anything back and like withdrawing, going to the full hilt on every possible idea and every possible graphic thing you can show. You know, because that's what I remember from reading those things when I was young. Even in Eerie, like some of those ones, but there'd be all different ones. Creepy.
Yeah, Eerie.
I always think of heavy metal. There was all these weird ones too, like Ratfink and all these ones. There was even more kind of crazy underground punk rock ones. There was the music ones. Some of those would be pretty crazy and graphic. Yeah, like especially like the death metal rags and stuff. They'd have crazy shit in those things.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's underground comics. There was one called 1984, and then just other stuff like that. This is an example of some of the comics. So give us a little layout here. They're not separate comic books. It's one book with several short stories. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's sort of like Model on Aegeon in that sense. It's a series of short stories, but different artists do each one. And it's funny because like they're all keen on it. I don't know that they, from the get-go, they know now, some of the guys that are coming back for the second time. I'm working on the second one now. It'll be out actually end of March. It should be. But they either don't fully get the nationalism part, which isn't in any way overt or extant in this. Like I said, the only nationalist thing about it is that it's not woke or pussified in any way. It's just kind of, and there's no, I guess, you know, I don't push any diversity or girl bossing stuff. Obviously, there's nothing like that in it.
No.
But also the theme of like being as brazen as you can with the nudity and the gore. I have to keep reminding them. I'm like, they'll do a little scene like the dinosaur kills another dinosaur, and I'm like, no, you got to make it more vicious. You got to. I want to see bones and blood and everything flying at you. You know, so this is the whole thing. Like it's
there's a shock value to it that's exciting. You know, one of my followers on my channel here, Occult Circus, has a quick question that the Q&A is guts, a reference to Berserk at all. Are you familiar with that manga? Are you familiar with the Berserk manga?
No, I wouldn't be huge. I don't know much about manga or anime or any of that stuff. I never did really. I remember in the old days I would watch like Ninja Scroll and shit like that, but I don't know. I never read manga. I actually lived in Japan for 6 months and I still never read manga.
That's so crazy. Dude, this is another part of my theory that you and I are brothers, because I lived in Japan for a year. Actually.
Right. Yeah, I remember you saying that when you were on my thing. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
That's wild.
Did you read manga? I mean, I remember them. They read it on the trains. They'd be loving it, but
dude. So
even just reading like left or even reading backwards, that would just kind of freak me out. I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. Like,
I was amazed to see that they had kiosks where, like, you know, a machine where you would buy a Coke or something. They have machines to buy manga. You know, you put your money in and it drops out. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. We should have that with American comics.
My friend that I was staying with there, I didn't see this, but he said he saw vending machines for like hard liquor, and he saw one for like he saw one for like that tied up rope porn VHS tapes.
Sure. Oh yeah. There's that's a whole other rabbit hole.
In a vending machine though, like imagine that. Like, dude, that's pretty good.
It's crazy.
Only they would do something like that.
Totally. Here's the thing that I'm going to shock my audiences. I hope I don't lose half the people, but I've never liked manga. I never liked manga.
Me neither.
Never really grabbed me. I've always
It all
thought,
looks the same. It's the same style. Each artist could be
yeah,
interchangeable as far as I can see. Like there's no massive variety there, really.
I feel like the manga face is based off of the alien gray face, which is creepy to me. The big head, big eyes, no nose, tiny mouth. And to me, is very disturbing. Western comics has insane amounts of fabulous artists and great stories, and oh my gosh, so like it is so deeply heartbreaking to me to see kids reading Japanese comics and don't know anything about our own history. To me, that's all part of this whole. I don't think that the small hats are behind that particularly. That's just a
No,
market force, but it's this idea that, ooh, it's Japanese, therefore it's exotic. And I'm like, open up a Frank Frazetta, or open up a creepy, eerie Warren magazine, a heavy metal. Look at what we have, because what we have is freaking phenomenal. And not only that, manga artists copy us. So
yeah,
they're,
yeah.
they're rehashing American and Western comics. But
You know what I find they rehash a lot, and also there's some excellent Japanese horror films. I love them, but repeatedly, I keep coming across these old 70s, early 80s British BBC horror shows, little vignette things, and I can see where they like really kind of blatantly lifted the stories out, or were influenced, I think, and then put it back in our faces like times 10. There's many themes I've discovered lately, and like finding these more obscure culty shows that used to be on. Particularly, I found some of the British ones that I see as maybe having influenced them, and then they in turn kind of dished it back at us. But they do a great job. I mean, I can't complain about the Japanese at all. But in terms of it also being a tiny hat, it is related. Even everything is related to the same thing, in that our animation and comic industry went down the tubes, I guess, because why? Because part of it would be the rise of it's different factors. There's like, you can argue third wave feminism and just men in general being sort of kicked out of the halls of power and managing our own, like a publication like Heavy Metal, or even Creepy, must have been just an office full of guys, just like, hey, this is great. Let's put another another naked chick, another dead body,
more boobs.
So they got forced out of having control of their own industry in many ways because of the value system that's been kind of. So you can say there's an involvement there always, and in a lot of these things. And now we're like, we've no control. Like if anything, the manga and the anime is so popular because we stopped producing our own quality, male-oriented, stuff created for creative young men, let's say, which like I used to find everywhere when I was young, and it all just dried up and vanished. So now I'm trying to do it myself. I don't get the audience or the distribution they would have had. I'm not on magazine racks across the world. Any fucking racks, probably. I'm in the odd bookstore here and there.
Okay.
I know that. I'm in a few bookstores actually, but
wow.
Anyways, still nothing like they would have had. So it's all tied together in the overall decline, and it feeds into the decline. The fact we don't have more men in charge of art, even just stuff like this that you think is like silly and ephemeral, like silly comic books with gory stuff and shit. It makes a big difference. If they're like, I was influenced by it, you were, it's a huge part, and you want to like give it back to the next generation. You want them to have something that's
100%.
Even though Guts is arguably, I mean, I went a bit extreme with Guts. It's definitely an adult comic.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it's for anybody beneath the age of, I don't know what, 16, I guess.
Here's another thing is that I don't know how old you are, and I can't mention how old I am, but it sounds like we sort of grew up at maybe the same time-ish. Anyway, at least we were exposed to these magazines and this media. What people today, especially young people, don't understand is how you didn't have there was no internet there, that you couldn't see excessive gore and sexual themes anywhere unless it was like in an adult R-rated film. And as a kid, you weren't allowed to see that, and it was very hard to see that kind of stuff. Whereas nowadays, kids as young as 10 have access to all the worst possible content you can see on the internet.
Well, they're seeing the real stuff. They're not seeing some imaginary kind of thing.
On top of it, right? It's not drawn out in pictures. It's not fake, So I don't know how to describe this, but I always try. I just had this conversation with my son about, growing up with music and film in such a way that, you had 3 channels on TV, and a movie theater in town. And
Yeah.
you know, when that one movie came out and you saw it in the theater or on TV, it's as if you hadn't eaten for a year, and then someone gave you a banquet of food.
Mm.
Try to imagine that kind of extremism, you know. Whereas now we're overwhelmed with media, like where people are desensitized to media. So I don't know 100% how you say young people might, like, you know, take to this kind of content, especially since it's so over the top with like the masculinity. Would they feel guilty to do that? Like, what's the psychology? I don't know. Do you know anything about your demographics, your readers?
I would expect there are more people our age than anybody particularly young or anything. How are they even going to hear about it unless they follow me on this and that? Anyway, so
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it's got to be probably more people, like older guys. Probably, I know a guy that like made his wife read it, and
Really?
she claimed to like it and said,
Claims.
"Oh, this is exactly like those type of things." Yeah, she said, or something like
Oh,
that.
that's
Who
nice.
else? I did. My editor chick who edits all my books for me. She didn't like it, but then she said she doesn't like comics. But I can see she generally doesn't like comics, so that's, you know, whatever. Like there you
Well,
go.
and that's a tough. I guess that's a case by case because girls. I mean, girls
Yeah,
like comics,
it's
but
not
they
for
like.
girls. It's not
Oh,
for
okay,
girls. I can tell you
not
that.
this stuff. No, obviously
No,
not. But
no.
there's lots of girly comics, right? There's a lot of that stuff out
Yeah,
there.
they used to be
So,
wonderfully drawn as well. The other thing I was going to say that wasn't apart from the things we mentioned was actually all the overuse of computers and art and all the digital stuff. And
mhm.
now as well, we're competing with this fucking AI crap, which I hate.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I'm searching for artists on and when I'm looking for a new comic, I like this for issue 2. I tried to get several new artists.
Hmm.
But I was going through the portfolios that you used to go through, and like so many of them are just chancer fucking idiots trying to pass off AI art as their personal.
Wow. Seriously.
So many portfolios for comic artists. Yeah, if you look at
That's
them, and you can tell
horrible.
so easy.
That's
Most
insane.
of them, I'd say 80% of them more. I mean,
Holy cow. See, I mean, I'm not hiring artists, so I don't know that. And I'm like a pretty hardcore comics artist myself. You know, like
yeah,
I just finished a gigantic graphic novel that took years to do.
what's that one?
This is actually a perfect segue into me showing you some of that material in the audience.
Sure.
But here's the point: is that the topic of AI is very contentious in the arts, right? Okay. And so I'm really happy that you brought that up, and we could go into that a bit. With the clip that I'm about to show everybody, one of my characters, somehow or other, they were able to put it into AI and animate it in a 3D way. So
Right.
AI is so advanced now that they can do this, which is kind of mind-boggling to me. I have to find the clip, and I'm gonna pop that on the screen in a second here.
Yep.
But where do you kind of draw the line with that? Like at what point do you think
I
AI
draw the
is?
line right. I draw the line right at the start. I have no time for AI in any regard whatsoever. I think it's shite. And
Okay.
someone actually did that for Guts as well. So I did some ads on TikTok for this chick. Did some AI stuff and made the guy from the cover, Old Fogarty, come to life and did this and that. And it looked good. At first, I was kind of impressed. I was like, well, that's an easy way to make a kind of attractive, moving video of the content.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was always, she made like 4 of them. And there's always some fucked up AI saying like, there's always something wrong.
Yeah, sure,
If
sure. Like,
you go for more than 3 seconds, something is just like fucked up and wrong. And you look at it and
right,
you're
right.
like,
It's a little
this
creepy.
is slop.
Right, right. All right. So what I'm going to show you, we have an amazing marketing and media team with this company. It's called newdelphimedia.com. Newdelphimedia.com. Maybe somebody can put that in the chat there. Anyway, newdelphimedia.com has funded this entire project. And so I designed 100 characters, and our animator, he combines 3D animation, 2D animation, and then now AI, so that it's got like 3 layers of animation that are combined together. So I'm about to show you guys. You ready?
Okay.
Put your hats on, or put your helmets on. Are you ready? Just a second. And I lost the clip. There it is. Okay, hold on.
Chad Havoc is the superhero that's good at everything. He's strong, he's intelligent, he's good looking, but most importantly, he's intelligent. He's the genius of the group. He's the master of technology. an embodiment of Western science. Brainstorm was a woman born with extraordinary paranormal powers, the ability to control people's minds. She's believed to be Venusian by descent. This means that she's believed to be descended of Hyborian aliens who colonized the planet Venus. General Havoc is massive. He's kind of like basically a white Hulk. He's 8 feet tall, Ukrainian, or at least that's his Earthling identity. It's believed that he is descended of Martian blood, Hyborians who colonized the planet Mars. Max Test is sort of a fascinating case. He has the ability to turn essentially into a man urchin, something that is part man, part sea urchin. This gives him an incredible durability. His skin is akin to a sea urchin's test or shell, nearly invulnerable. Regen X has the ability to basically turn into a human vine. This allows him to constrict his adversaries or to entangle them, and it also grants him a power of regeneration. You cut off one of his limbs, it grows back. The name Mtor is thought to mean metal Tor or metal Thor, and on the surface, this is his identity. He's a black metal Thor, yet he conceals a secret. NeuroHavoc is UberChad's invention. Essentially, it's the most powerful AI ever created. Its physical manifestation is a military war drone called the Samson 6000 unit. It's an incredibly powerful robot, essentially, that could wipe out most countries' military.
Wow. So, what is your impression there, sir? What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's great that you did the comic and all.
Mm-hmm.
And good job. Yes, it's definitely better than say I didn't see some of the shit that I saw with the AI the chick did for me. But like honestly, I cannot, and will never. People keep trying to get me to endorse AI for this and that reason, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
I truly hate it. I really don't like it, and whenever I see it, I tune out. And
I think that's a healthy instinct, to be quite honest with you. It's too much power in the hands of people that don't even know what they're doing, or don't.
And I'm not even I'm honestly not entranced by it. I don't see there's there's the human ingenuity of your original drawings and everything that entails, and I can see that, in especially in their original form. But I don't know. There's something always bothers me about it. Something inhuman and weird, and it doesn't have the fixation on me it seems to have on others at all. And I am not impressed with it. I'm not even impressed with it as it's more functional use in search engines and things. I don't see that anything's improved in that sense either. When the information was just there to be discovered and fiddled through in conventional search engines, now you get some guy kind of preaching a little bit more of a wall where someone's preaching to you about what you should think, kind of thing, a bit more than we had before and stuff like that. So I'm sure there's great use if they would use it to make deep thought from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or something like amazing. I'd be really impressed. But if they're using it to do our animation and our drawing and stuff, I was already not impressed with CGI 3D animation as much as other people. I always kind of hated that. I've hated it ever since I saw fucking Terminator 2. I'm like, nope, this is shit.
Wow.
All these years I've hated this shit. So now it's even worse.
Is it fair to say that you are a purist?
I'm just not impressed by it. And I don't think it improved anything in terms of art, especially, let's say. I don't think we advanced or improved anything. And I've not it's like comparing the old Star Wars movies to the new Star Wars movies. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, okay, they can do whatever they want supposedly, but it's fucking shite.
That's exactly the example that I was thinking, because the old ones were pretty phenomenal for the time that they were made.
It's better, I think. You can see that. You can see it's fake. You can see it's stop motion and Muppets and models, but you appreciate the human craftsman. You can sense it, and you're like, some guy's done this. What a great job he did. Every appreciation of art is related to that.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's no humans involved, if you just do an AI, I don't believe there's anything to appreciate. You can be sort of dazzled by what appears to be technological wizardry, in a sense, but conceptually at its foundation, I believe it's false. And unless there's some change in it, going nowhere, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a lone voice on this one. No one seems to understand.
Hey, I'm the guy that hates manga, so
Yeah.
No, but I really, this is such an important conversation that I just don't think happens frequently enough in the arts specifically. I think I'll just toss this out there. It seems like, yeah, we can see it and go, ooh, wow, AI did this or CGI or something. But then we realize, wow, a human being did not make it. A computer made it. And there's so much removed from the humanity of it. And therefore, how am I supposed to naturally respond to this if it's so farther and farther from the human hand?
The entire process of art appreciation is having some understanding of the level of work somebody has put into something. And you can only through some relation of remotely understanding what this person has done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the fact that the monster in the costume looks slightly fake in whatever movie we're talking about, Empire Strikes Back or something, doesn't look 100% real in some fashion, but you still, various artisans and craftspeople have worked as hard as they could, at least, and someone has managed this and produced something.
Sure.
It's the limitations. It's the limitations and the human foibles that make it appreciable as art at all. Beautiful. So if you remove that factor, I don't think there's anything to appreciate. I don't. If someone made an AI movie and said it was the most dazzling visual spectacle, I mean, maybe I'd see it just to torture myself. I'm sure I would hate it. It would be nothing, and I'd fall asleep probably or something.
Wow, man. What about Guillermo del Toro? He uses a lot of actual puppets and real physical effects, but then he kind of combines it with CGI. Are you a fan of del Toro's films?
He's all right. I wouldn't hail him as anything anywhere near. Yeah, some of the filmmakers of the 70s was the best decade for film, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
I don't think anybody's touched back on. So that just shows you, like, what has the technology improved? What has it done for us if we can't make a film as enjoyable and entertaining and artistically appreciable as anything from that period? It shows that technology is not. It's just more of this march of quantity over quality. The ease of it. Now we don't even have to have an artist. You have a prompt. What do they call themselves? Prompt artist. Is that what they call it? The AI guys. I'm a prompt artist.
This is so ironic because I have lined up one of the best clips about this particular topic. I guess it's just that we're in the flow here with the universe or something. So this next clip. Okay, part of what this whole show is that I bring people on. We look at pop nationalist culture, nationalist art, dissident right art, and that includes obviously everything from memes to music to viral videos and reels and all that stuff. So, and clearly our movement is using a ton of AI, but they're using it as they're weaponizing it the way that they weaponized memes 10 years ago. So I'm going to show you a clip now. As after having said everything you just said, this is an AI clip that is an anti-AI movie, I guess. It's essentially saying, who would have thought that computers, like we created computers and now computers are creating us? That's a very science fiction kind of concept, I'd say. Do you think that we're headed in that direction? Do you think that there's a kind of inevitable danger that humanity is going to evolve in some way that AI is going to dictate? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about that. So, like I said, I mean, I'm definitely hate it in regard to art and like the people making albums with AI, and I just really have no time for that whatsoever. But in terms of some purely scientific thinking stuff, I would expect it to be doing something good or amazing. But even there, I don't see anything amazing happening yet, and I haven't heard or seen it improve anything over what a human could have come. It's certainly, I'm sure it lacks sort of essential creativity or even the sort of necessary willpower found in a human who has all the limitations and problems of being alive, wanting to find out about what the universe is and live forever, and everything that the human, there's all these things involved that I don't think it's anywhere maybe near to doing. So I've yet to see it be as amazing as so many people think. But if, let's say, it were to really become impressive in a more scientific sense, at least, that we would be worried. I think even then, I tend to think from what they've done to the world, our little friends, our little managers, and the way it's going, and all their talk of automation and AI, I don't think any of that shit's going to happen. I think diversity will ensure that the future is much more of a shabby, dysfunctional thing that cannot manage so much as things we had 20 years ago, let alone some fantastic technology that's going to fucking automate everything and make us just, godlike. I just think that these two worlds are going to cancel each other out. There's not going to be...
Oh my God, that's a genius take. I was just thinking like this concept of like, will AI clean up diversity?
No, it doesn't look like it. So it's the opposite so far. They brainwashed it to,
gosh, that's so
do the opposite.
I mean, it's like laugh and cry at the same time. All right, let's play this clip. This is pretty crazy. So we're just going to pop this on mute.
Okay, so the internet is gonna end us. Who knew computers would invent us? Who knew computers would invent us? Oh no, the internet is gonna end us. The internet is gonna end us. Yay! The internet is gonna end us. Who knew computers would invent us? Who knew computers would invent us? Oh no, the internet is gonna end us. The internet is gonna end us. But it's okay.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What's your reaction to that clip?
Oh, I don't know. Not much. Just does not affect me. It's sort of the antithesis to Guts in a lot of ways. You got kind of girly music and like silly shit.
Yeah.
And then it's slop AI just kind of put together. Again, it's just sort of flashy without substance, without an artist to really think, oh, where's the genius? Where's the little twist in it that's going to show me, some creative genius is throwing something in just wild you didn't expect. Like none of that's going to happen. That there's going to be this visual pop, like purely visual garbage.
Yeah, if I can jump in, it almost feels like it's basically the movie that you watch on the airplane as the airplane is crashing.
And you can see even the girls in it. You saw the girl from what's her name? There was like the Pulp Fiction girl. There was Marilyn Monroe, right? There's just like you get little nostalgic images you can recognize.
Yeah.
Kind of, and it's just, but it's like it's a weird fucking thing, and So what do you why what do you think about it?
This is a good. So I mean, I'm not as hardcore as you are about AI. I clearly recognize dangers in it, and I do believe maybe like 80% of the time it's going to be abused in some way, and we in some way have to corral it and tame it and use it as another form of tool for our benefit. The focus of this show and the content that Donald Kent does is clearly for white well-being and nationalism and our movement. So what I've seen a lot of, and I'm going to be showing a lot of on this show, is the weaponization of AI to popularize our ideas, to make our points, to entertain, but in many cases, and in the best cases, to moralize us, which is what great art would do. So there's this kind of, I'm actually going to show, and maybe I'll jump right into that, and maybe I will get right into that clip. I kind of wanted to, I feel like we should spend a little more time on your books though, but we're kind of off and running.
It's all right.
A lot of
go check out my books. I'd like anybody who actually buys my books likes them. I know that. I get nothing but good reviews. It's just like, and especially with the fiction, the Aegeon and the Guts, like need more people buying them, and I need to get more advertising and get out there. But I'm committed to 4 of the Guts. There's going to be 4 of them for sure. And in between there'll be another couple of Aegeons, but I will be coming out with another nonfiction of my own as well soon, on religion, I think, on paganism and Christianity.
Wow.
But I got to finish that
Wow.
in between, and as well as all this other shit. But yeah, anybody who gets them likes them, so I think they're pretty good. I mean, it's very unique and entertaining, and there's no AI. It's all human. You can see the you can see the human foibles in it, you know, for better and for worse. That's how you appreciate anything good. The other thing, one thing I would like to say, I also don't agree with the message of that video in terms of the internet is going to end us. I don't have this, despite everything else I said, where I sound like a Luddite technophobe. I'm not. The internet itself does not bother me. It never really has. I do think it's one of the better little inventions we have, especially how it used to be before they cracked down. What was it, 2014? 2015, they really censored the shit out of it. Up till then, it was a beautiful, wonderful thing for information and people waking. Like, you know, when I was researching for my book is when you could find just random crazy things. Like some of it was insane.
Yeah.
A lot of it, but you know, you could come across anything. You could come across real, you know, dark, some of it dark or whatever, but like just information, just pure raw information, and like people saying whatever they wanted. It was great. It was excellent.
That's how it should be. We need a new internet. As a hobby, I've studied ufology for 20 years, and I remember seeing things that people would not believe the things that I've seen. And when I try to search those things, they're all scrubbed. You know, they're gone. They're not on the, at least I can't find them. You know, they're out there somewhere, you know. But
it really sucks what they did with the search engine, and I don't see AI improving that. AI just seems to be the same shit they've been doing already, but with a twist, I guess.
Right, and that discussion I had about, you know, questioning AI, the Grok AI, about, you know, what's better for a nation, modern postmodernism versus traditional art before that. Clearly, these are, you know, this is the thing that's happening, and AI, I guess, is just it's a more fancy kind of cage, you know, another type of golden cage, if you will, in terms of controlling narratives and what you can and can't know, can and can't say or think. The questioning strategies are really where it's at, to apply creativity to the best questioning strategies in terms of like researching things. So, you know, I had this idea that, okay, the Jays, the small hats, stole our modern art and at a certain time, and then used it, weaponized it against us to deconstruct us as part of a much greater conspiracy over 100 years to bring us to where we are now. And then my new book and my new art curriculum, IMPERIUM art curriculum, is going to be about reconnecting to, you know, who we were before then, and then carrying on, you know, and building art and music, film.
Let me just add, can I just add something to that? In like my research of it, like the likes of Clement Greenberg and all that, I don't necessarily ascribe to the theory that they had this genius master plan over hundreds of years. I think they just have, and I think, was it Kevin MacDonald in his book, this was his premise, is that they have this evolutionary habit, like you know, it's their way of, they learn to survive over generations in their ghettos and things, and in Western Russia and Eastern Ukraine and these places, or whatever the fuck it was. And they it's just like a habit. I don't think it's to their own interest either, the shit they do in the long run. I mean, are they really going to think they're great being fucking kings of trash world, and every country is full of fucking rivers choked with plastic and like giant, you know, these people like savages everywhere? Like, really, is that really, you're going to have a great time then, are you? Like, I don't think they realize themselves what they're doing. I think it's a habit they have to intentionally, you know, pick apart and weaken as much as they can the host nation, as it were, the no host race, especially us. Yeah. And they can't help themselves, and it's not to their own benefit either. You know, I just think, I don't know that they have a super genius plan. If it is a plan, it seems pretty fucking bad to me. All around, it just seems like disaster for everybody. Well, nothing but disaster.
That's a massive question. That's a very serious, deep question. In my thinking, I lean much more into there is a plan, but that plan has evolved over so many hundreds of years. It's based in this concept that we're the chosen ones. We're the only real people. Everyone else is our property and our slaves, our cattle. And as such, we have to find a way to control the whole world and everyone in it. And therefore, let's start off with communism, or let's do Freemasonry, or let's do XYZ PDQ. There's all these things. So,
but even what you're saying there, that's sort of like there's no plan beyond getting that final domination by any means necessary. Like what kind of world would they themselves be in by the time they reach this goal?
Yeah. With that's a specific topic, what you're talking about there. And I would agree with you. I think that this is really going to be like hell world. It's going to just be a world of suffering. It already is, but it would be far, far worse in this regard. It would be totally dehumanized. And why? Why? Because they're jealous of us.
So they can give us the final big finger, middle finger in the end, say fuck you, and okay, great. So we're all dead.
It's the Samson option, but only with like hamburgers and AI. Let's read a couple comments here. That we have an amazing audience with like many of these people are my friends, followers, fans, and they're just like cream of the crop. So I want to try to give them a little bit of time here, since this is a great conversation. Mr. Monty Fontaine, at 100% agree. I think they tap into this idea of them being Illuminati, but I think they just like to undermine. And then Critical Review says, yes, it'll come back to bite them. Critical Review runs a show on the true history of Germany, by the way. I want to urge everybody to go to her YouTube, get on board with that. I think, obviously Germany has been one of the most maligned countries in planet Earth. Victoria,
have you been there?
Sadly, no. I mean, I love Germany, but
I went there, and I know it's since I went, it's gone downhill drastically and fast. I know that, but I was there, 2 years ago, something like that, and it was amazing. And there was things about it I never expected, like in terms of their actual living and stuff, like their food, their groceries were way cheaper than anything you'd find here or I'd ever see anywhere else in Europe. They had many little lifestyle things they still very German, kind of well-planned lifestyle stuff that I didn't expect, that I was amazed by. And I thought they were, because you hear these stories, you think it's all doom and gloom, at least where I was anyways. I was very impressed by how they managed to live and the organization of it and the concern for general like quality of life and stuff. I thought they were doing a very good job. But I understand since then they've gone, with what's going on and the Russian fuel and stuff, they've probably not at that level. But anyways, but when you say how badly they had, I know in terms of what they're allowed to say and their forced allegiance to this and that, they're the most repressed in certain ways, but still the brilliance of that people is still, it's there. Like you can see it when you go there.
Yeah. Right. That's wonderful to hear. I've had just here and there, I'll come across like an interview with like a German actor or something. And, this is just small cases here and there, but I see these people just acting like they're totally indoctrinated into thinking they're, they're evil and this and that and all this kind of reparations. And so I don't know if every single person out there is like that in Germany. I hope not, obviously, but it's disturbing to me because I think that's everywhere. Like, I have a good friend who's from France, and he talks about, how the French are in terms of like the liberalism. And if you were to talk about the small hats in a certain way, people would just look at you like you're from another planet or something. So there's still a way.
That's all different now. That's all a bit different now. I think what we have is like in all our countries, most what percentage of white people would you say are liberals versus? I mean, it's at least 50%, right? Maybe more. What would you say?
I mean, that's tough to call, but I would give 50%.
Let's say 50. Let's say 50, and it's the same for all our countries. But even then, we all know, as you can see, to exist in polite society, in normal society, all of us have to keep our opinions quiet. And you go out and you listen to a bunch of horseshit, and you have to hear all the political opinions of, the left is always very vocal with their opinion, and you just kind of have to sit through it and like wait for it to pass. And we all sort of put up with that. So it's the same in all these other places as well. So like I know, say when I was in Germany, I remember being shown the local fucking what do you call the Jewish temple thing? What do they call it? The
synagogue?
synagogue. Yeah. It was this horrific modernist. It looked like something from. It looked like H.R. Geiger designed it or something. It was it was literally like an evil blight on the city. This is
oh my god!
In Mines. And so they're all just like, oh, isn't this great? Isn't this great? Kind of thing. And like, you know, when you let them, they do have that opinion. And I didn't hear them like being self-deprecating too much. But, you know, it's just like liberals everywhere. You know what I mean? Like liberals in your country or here, like they go about a certain routine of being a certain level of self-deprecation and announcing out loud, this is their politics and they're such good people because they believe this and that. But then they kind of get on with being themselves anyways. And you catch them in their off moments and they're being Germans and they're being Irish and they're being normal Americans or whatever, right? You know, like, so it kind of is like that. So if you ask them specific things, of course, they're going to answer very terribly and, you know, do what they think, the little dance they have to perform. But they really think with liberals, it's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, they sincerely try to think that, but you know, they will also. Go on.
Sorry, I cut you. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, that's it.
Are you referring to like in public or privately? Because I think people are
anything, anywhere. I mean, they try to make themselves really believe it. So I'm just saying, you know, when I was in Germany, I remember the people showing me around were very much. You would say like nobody. I didn't hear any opinion close to what we would think about things at all, obviously, and they wouldn't dream of it. And they'd obviously be, God knows, they'd be immediately arrested and, you know, thrown it. You know, what was the woman that was in jail in her 90s? I think she passed away. Is it?
Oh God,
is that Haverback or something? Was that her name?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah.
In the chat can tell us here. Critical review.
Yeah,
you can jump in there.
So you know, there's a threat. There's a threat there over their heads. But it you know, in every other regard, they were living their life, being very efficient, coming up with schemes for ways in living. You know, in being in charge of their own industry as much as they could. That's one thing I found in Germany. That was they weren't, at least that time 2 years ago. I think it's different now. They were not so reliant on the free trade agreements and the getting everything outsourced. All their, you know, daily use items made and brought in from China and other places. There were still a level of manufacturing going on there, and they understood and had control over certain things. And you just heard sensible arguments and the way they would do things. Like the reason I was there for this, my son was in a sporting thing, and just the way they managed it and the things they did, it was like, oh, this is so German. And like some people complain because it's kind of fussy. But I just kind of loved it because it was so different from anybody else and like, you know, rigid. He's just rigid.
Right. To try to pull the camera back a little bit and look at nationalist art and culture and what we're doing, did you see, in your perspective, since you live in Europe, how much of that do you see online and in real life? Do you see a growing sense of nationalism? Do you see arts and culture expressing that? I think we all have different algorithms, you know, as far as what we see online, and that limits our perspective in terms of like what is happening in the real world. Could you comment on that? What are your perspectives on that?
Well, it's a two-part thing that sort of goes in both directions. I think of the people I know and I would hang out with, like, and many of them are more sort of normalish type people. There would be certain right-wing type anti-immigration sentiments, certainly, and there would be a certain willingness to criticize things like Zionism and other things, much more than and listen to certain arguments and things than they would have before, and that's there as well. But at the same time, I think. And I actually tend to agree with them on this. There's a certain hopelessness and sense of nationalism and the idea that we're going to rally politically and take everything back. I kind of think they have moved away from that. They don't want to cause a hassle or a fuss or have a big fight with somebody over it.
Okay.
And they're more inclined to not want to talk about politics generally and just sort of agree, like, and like have a laugh at a nice racist joke and this and that, but just sort of keep it at that kind of thing.
Okay.
Is what I find in like my more sort of like, you know, and I kind of don't blame them for it. And I kind of tend to agree that there's not much we can do overall. And the way things are, you know, I'm just kind of waiting for things to get bad enough that when a certain level of luxury it has evaporated, I believe, then we can start getting real about certain things. I don't see any other way out of this the way it is myself.
So this is I'm going to lean into some dangerous territory, and we're obviously going to be cautious about what we say and how we respond to this question. But
Okay.
in my algorithm, I'm seeing much more radical things. There's an organization, a group.
You're talking about X, is it?
Oh, when I say algorithm, I'm talking about all of my social media.
Okay.
So that's X, Instagram, Telegram, and beyond. So those, I guess, are probably the core three. But there's an Irish People's Liberation Army organization that is putting out videos, and that, it's the whole deal with the masks and telling the politicians we know where you live, and this kind of stuff. If it's like
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah,
the IRA.
But like the conversation here in Ireland was like, is that they would like people I knew were like, is that real or not? I don't know. Like nobody seemed to know actually. And I saw the one video. I don't know if they made another one, but it did not stop anybody politically. Nobody took it seriously, I don't think. And I know it was an exciting video to see.
Yeah. And
yes, in terms of, we don't want to talk too dangerously about it or anything, but whether or not, I think I tend to think it was maybe genuine, though. It was like there was a debate about that. I do think maybe it was real, and maybe even something like that could potentially happen.
Yeah,
there certainly is IRA stuff always going on here still. Mostly they just kind of got involved in crime, and it's more like a mafia thing, really, where they if you need something dubious done, you go to them. And
I see. Yeah. This is a question that I've fielded to several people in our movement over time, several times, and that was the question of why have the mafias, why in all the different European countries, why have they not done anything about immigration or other things that are clearly destroying their country? Now, I'm not saying they should, and I have zero interest in connecting with any kind of mafia, but all I'm saying is you'd think these guys, being the badass criminals that they are, would see what's happening with the pride in their culture and their people, would do something. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, that's the mystery of normals. Because believe it or not, those type of people are more akin to a normal, I think, and more in tune with sort of a mainstream media imbibement, let's say, than anything we would be involved in our, funny little things we follow and things we got involved in back when the internet was free. We got diverted into these streams, which are true. Not that we didn't get like hypnotized and like, I don't think we're saying or doing anything false or anything, but it's a kind of a rare thing, and I just don't see them. Any run-of-the-mill IRA type here is still much more. They hate the British and they hate Protestants, but that's still their main concern. They haven't copped. It's like they as a normal, they just can't understand a new threat. That's something that's not conventional. That's not in their what they were raised with. Or something.
So they're not technically educated. They don't know what's really
exactly. Just like normals, they just kind of like they believe the easy lie they're told by the mainstream news, basically. Yeah.
All right. We got a question from the chat. Soy Goy Roy says, "Do you think that only after the anti-white American empire falls that Europe can reclaim its racial destiny?"
Do I think that? It seems to me more and more likely that that's probably maybe the only way. Yeah.
Wow.
That I can see. Like, how can I put it? Because it's, I don't know how many people agree with me. I get a lot of pushback on this one because I do tend to think that, but I don't. There's optimism. As they say, my friend Semyagog always says, I like to say, you can shit in one hand and wish in the other and see which fills up first. I love this one. In terms of like realistically a way out of of what's going on, I do think, as far as I can see, seeing as your country, sadly, is the whipping mule of these people and completely in their power, as far as I can see, then the only remotely optimistic thing that shows me any indication that we're not going to die out as a race, frankly, is the retreat that Zog is in on certain fronts in regards to these BRICS nations and the things going on in that regard. That's the only, and it's even then, it's like kind of dubious, and I'm not sure. Can they really mount a, any kind of resistance? But I mean, America must be suffering from the internal contradictions in the value system and the diversity making everything more dysfunctional as we go. Not like we were talking about that in terms of art earlier, but that's like across the board, everything in the society. So I do tend to think the only I'd love it to be some other way and some other way. Everyone thinks I'm like a big shill for Russia and all this, but I just think it's the only remotely optimistic thing I think. Like the only opposition that's working against them in any way whatsoever is, if they're losing that war in Ukraine, I'm sure, that's not going to be good for them when that's said and done. They're about to start a war in Iran, I think. And I don't know how that's going to go either. But frankly, I have to hope they do not succeed. And it could go either way as far as I can see. I don't know. I think it's better for us as a race if they don't succeed. Yeah.
You're saying the Russians, or who are you saying?
That the Americans do not succeed and that they fail at that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big can of worms. There's a lot of people with different ideas. A lot of people in the chat have their own thoughts on it. I think, I don't have a crystal ball. I guess I could comment on it, but it's just the same thing where we're just rolling over and over like speculation based on what we can see. And one thing I don't want to do, and this platform is absolutely not about, is blackpilling. And granted, I recognize the black pills and the hardships, and that's why we're doing fun, cool stuff, is to kind of lift ourselves up. So
I don't actually feel blackpilled myself. I don't. Okay. Life is life, people have lived through worse than we've had so far. I do think we're going to see some horrific shit, but I mean, that's happened before as well. And I try to I like a bit of realism. I don't like to pretend and kid myself about things, that's for sure. But there's always going to be a window or an avenue for survival of some kind.
Are you
sorry, go on, yeah.
Are you telling me there's no Santa Claus?
Yeah, I am telling you that. There's no
okay.
There's no racist Santa Claus going to swoop in and here's your country. Here's your all white country again.
There's your next comic book, Racist Santa Claus. There you go.
That would be good. That is a good one. I should do that. The next Guts is going to have the raciest one so far. It's going to be like it's basically going to be kind of a ripoff of. You ever see that 70s movie? What is it? Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS or whatever. You ever see that?
I mean, I know of it. I didn't see it, but there's
it's going to be like that.
What, Nazi exploitation films or something? What do they call those?
Like sexy
Nazis. Yeah. Maybe I'll look that up. So looking at some chats here, Victorian Time Traveler says, BRICS is not at all helpful for white people having a future. It's led by the anti-white Chinese Communist Party. Really? BRICS? I didn't know that.
I wouldn't say that.
I would say maybe
it's only because I would say in response to that, there's no perfect answer to anything. There's no like we said, Gandalf the White is not flying out of the skies to whisk you away here. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's you've got, but as far as I can see, you've got Zog and then those places that are outside Zog. And Zog is the one that's been exterminating us. So, I don't think there's anything, if it's in retreat a little bit, at least even, I think it's good. That's all I can say.
Right. Well, speaking about retreat, let's retreat into some fun video here. Are you guys ready for a laugh? All right. So I'm sorry. I didn't know you were so anti-AI. I probably would have had some other clips. The clip after this is not AI, so they can take a breather. But let's have a laugh and take a look at this and let me know when we're done. You can comment.
Holy shit, H. Jones, get the fuck out of here.
We need to go now. The deep state is scraping our signals. They're eating the babies. No time to explain.
Go where? It's 4 a.m. Nigga, what the fuck?
Antarctica.
Nobody else, so we can be free. Nobody else, so we can be free. All the things you said, running through my head, running through my head, running through my head. All the things you said, running through my head.
What is this place?
Home.
I'll see you in Valhalla.
what a rush that was! Holy cow!
One thing about AI that I've said consistently is that it's not bad in terms of a funny meme thing like that. That's the only use I've ever had for it so far. And some of them are actually quite funny. Like that one I did like, yeah. Also, I like the part of the beginning where he's like, Alex Jones throws himself out the window. Like,
exactly.
That's one of the rare occasions where the goofy weird shit it does actually works. Where it's like, because usually it's just like disjointed and stupid. But
and I mean, it being weird made it even funnier too, right? And then the way
it was a joke within a joke within a joke, and like Hulk Hogan looking up from the priest robes, that was pretty funny. Like the way all that shit.
I mean, it's just so layered, and then it just gets faster and faster.
But as far as I can see, that's the only thing of it I've ever enjoyed was a jokey meme thing like that. I would be lying if I didn't say I found some of them funny, and I did. That one I remember I liked. There was another one where George Floyd is like, he's like that. He's in that funny suit or whatever. Or I forget if he was like it's like George Floyd, but he's a cyborg, or he's in a suit and he's in a sewer.
Oh, sure,
and he's like,
sure.
You know the one?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of them. I mean, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
One thing I'm really fascinated with is this Vril edits, the Hitler esotericism, Agartha.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that stuff that I'm so fascinated with that. Partly because there's a lot of truth and a lot of conspiracy. There's documentation. And then there's mystery, and so it's a really interesting arc of all these aspects. George Droid is what he's called. Thank you,
George Droid. That's right. That George Droid. Yeah, that's
so
a good one.
funny.
Yeah, I like the idea of that. Even is because when it's like that over, like when you're dealing with autists who are in our frame of mind, and they're in charge of shit like that, and they just go like to the full hilt of just craziness. It is whatever medium they use. It's going to be kind of funny, but.
Yeah,
still it's AI, and I don't think I wouldn't use it as an excuse to think AI is great, and overall, it's still shite.
So I mean, I think I know your thoughts on AI now, but let me ask you and the audience and people watching this show later in the comments: is what I just showed you, is that nationalist art?
I'd say so. Yeah, I guess so. What else would you call it?
Yeah, and it's not a question of whether you like AI or not. The question is it art, and is it nationalist art? And so you saying yes. Anyone in the chat? We got Mr. Krusty Pirate says Santa Claus definitely real. Sorry, let's catch up here, guy. What do we got? Himmler was an occultist. We got a big rabbit hole here.
The whole real thing and those guys, the blonde guy, the UFO people. Yeah, that's all very new agey. That's tied in with a really weird new agey scene from the 80s as well, which is really crazy and bizarre and interesting. And it's tied in with UFOs and occult stuff and kind of even certain sort of really out there born again cult stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy shit with that. I remember a guy wrote me an excellent article for it. I hope I still have it somewhere. I should put it up again. Connecting all these things in the kind of new agey beliefs, and he was really critical of it, to be honest.
Sure. I mean, anytime you sort of monetize something, like the Gaia channel, for example, where they have all these different personalities and they have their own products and shows and they have conventions.
The Gaia channel, that was it.
Money and, and I mean, and there's probably good stuff and then some fake stuff, and it's all kind of mingled and mixed. A lot of those people they say that they're connected to like deep state programs funding UFO technologies, and it's all of that's been on my radar as far as like I've been looking into that for the past 20 years, but I have the same sense of like, be careful what you believe in, be suspicious. I will say this: there's one guy that for sure is trustworthy. He's Dark Journalist X on YouTube. I forget his name. He's just a dude, but his YouTube channel is called Dark Journalist X, and he specifically ties in ufology with politics. So he'll explain just things like how, part of why Kennedy was assassinated was because he wanted to open up the UFO files, so blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of stuff. I'm cautious personally about the new agey stuff, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like you can be too biased or prejudiced against these people, and you actually miss the truths that they do have. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't want to be too much.
The new agey people.
Well, let me get my statement across. I don't want to be too naive and like believe everything they say, and I don't want to be too like, oh, nothing they say is right. I think that's absurd as well. I'm right on the tightrope in between those two things, where okay, I'll listen to what you have to say, I'll corroborate it with lots of other evidence, and then I'll make a choice. Is what you're saying, true or not true, or blah, blah, blah.
I find it interesting, and I find all the magic stuff interesting. I'm sort of like the William Burroughs school of magic, and even the Aleister Crowley stuff I find interesting. There's a good story in The Next Guts, actually, where it's about, the idea of, I got the idea from Thomas Sheridan. I don't know if you know him. He's an Irish guy, he's a very new agey kind of guy. And Jimmy Page bought Aleister Crowley's house in
Sure.
Yeah, right. So his theory is that it's well known that Aleister Crowley was doing a certain ritual. I forget what it's called now. But he was doing it at the house, and then he didn't finish it, or he didn't close it or something, and he had to leave and go do something, and he never came back. And then his theory is that he actually opened a portal that brought in Loch Ness, because the house is right on Loch Ness. And that the Nessie is actually a creature that Aleister Crowley brought into the world. So we got a story in The Guts too, where Jimmy Page and Peter Grant goes over to Jimmy Page's house, and Jimmy Page shows him this underground area where Crowley was doing all this shit, and it's got all fucking Loch Ness and all this crap in it. So it's great fertile ground for stories and wonderful things, regardless. And I do like all the esoteric and the magic and the crazy Satanist people that were working at NASA and all the weird links and bizarre shit. I don't know that I believe it creates a total believable story of any kind. I tend to think these things, I do think you see sort of little rifts in reality, the things people hint at when you take psychedelics. I never did DMT, but apparently that's the one that really
yeah
makes you.
I'm sorry to cut you off. There's some university, I'm sorry I don't have the data on this right now, I came across that this university has a program now where they're doing DMT studies, where they will take volunteers and put them on a DMT drip. So imagine what
in America
means. In America, that means they're on DMT for like more than an hour.
Jeez. Right. And what happens? It must go crazy.
Let's try to tell the audience what is DMT. So it's like the chemical version of the gland, the pineal gland. I don't know what comes out of the pineal gland.
It comes out of you apparently you find it in things as common as grass. Grass seed.
It's in nature. You would have to eat massive amounts of grass to get a tiny bit of DMT, but you're right. Anyway,
you have to do a process. You have to put it through a process. Well, I would say the perfect way to summarize it is this. They say if you take acid, it opens the door to another universe, and they say if you take DMT, it pushes you through the door, and you're in that universe. And there's a universal event that everyone sees, which is that there's little elves behind the scenes creating reality. Everybody who takes it generally has this
right
concept.
So that comes back to what I was going to say, is that there's beings on the other side of DMT, and they're communicating with these beings to bring back knowledge and information. That's what this project is about. So what that information is, I don't know. Presumably they're interdimensional of some kind. I've never done DMT myself. I be honest, I'm quite fascinated with it. I think maybe I will someday. But who's the funny guy with the weird voice? Terrence McKenna.
Yeah.
He talks in depth.
He swore by it.
Yeah. So if people are interested in that topic, what a great show today. We're all over the place. Freaking UFOs, DMT. This is fabulous, man. I'm telling you, I think you, myself, and Dave Martell have to start a band. I think that would be like insane.
That would be good, actually. Yeah.
That would be insane.
That probably would be good. That would be funny.
I'm just trying to check some of the comments here. Our audience.
You were saying about nationalist art with that funny meme thing.
Yeah.
Where I just want to qualify what I would say, because I don't think, it's not. it's still ultimately kind of sloppish and whatever. Like, it's not. If you think of nationalist art as in you're going to compare it to, you know, the Simplon Pass Eagle in Switzerland or something, you know,
Okay.
or something, you know, even Mount Rushmore or something. You know, it's not ever going to be anything. All we have is this little ironic, funny game we can play within the world we're pushed into, and it is good to see. And that's really the result of. You could say that is a true prompt artist there because they're so unabashed. This is again the theory behind Guts and other things. Just to be unrestrained, like that. Whoever made that, it was utterly.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were high or, you know what I mean. Like the whole whatever he typed in there was pretty funny. You know that's his idea. He's to thank. This human at least is to thank for the concept, the idea, and the people. Hulk Hogan and fucking Jakob and all this shit.
All right, my question: have you seen? Was that the first time you've seen a reel like that, or have you seen many of them?
That one? No, I like that one. I remember sharing it. Yeah, and I that's probably the best one he did. I've seen there's a whole channel of that stuff, and it's not as good. I think it's the same people that do the George Droid. You were saying it looks
probably
like the same.
Most likely, I would say.
Yeah, so they have a few good ones. Yeah.
All right, so let's look at another reel here. This one is not AI, and this type of reel is extremely common in the what I would call the distant right underground media culture. It's a form of art, edits, reels. I don't know what else to call it, but I think when people look back in history and talk about this time and the arts and culture of nationalists of this time, this is the type of media that they will be studying. So and we can see how, this is essentially taken from maybe the meme culture of 2016 to 18, whatever, Trump's first period and then on. But anyway, I'll shut up, play it, and then you guys give me your impressions. And if you have more questions for my guest, Brendan, then please prepare that because we're going to wrap it up fairly shortly.
But why?
That was way too short. I want a lot more. But this is the type of stuff in the scrolling world when you're doom scrolling and one and another, you get these short videos like that. And did you notice the clip of the penguin in the beginning? Are you familiar with that right now?
Oh, that's to do with the Greenland business, right?
Who's the film director? Help me out here. German Wim Wenders.
Okay, I don't know.
Someone in the chat will know the German director. There's a popular clip going around about this basically a clan of like penguins in Antarctica, and one of them suddenly decides to turn around from the pack and walk off to the mountains. And Werner Herzog, sorry, thank you so much. I knew it wasn't Wim Wenders. And coming from Werner Herzog as well, like he's German, for starters, and then just like what an amazing filmmaker, philosopher, human being, like extraordinary, someone we should probably look more at, in this movement. And then he's looking at like, oh my God, look at this penguin. He's against his own survival. Is just like, I'm leaving the pack and I'm walking towards the mountains, and this kind of spirit of vril, this spirit of nationalism, the spirit of against all odds, the white race will overcome. And that's the meme. That is the message. And people have been, they'll put like a swirling Stalingrad behind it, or, swastikas or this or that. And we're using it as a form of moralization, a form of uplifting our spirits, a form of bringing us forward, which way, Western man. And so all of that kind of positivity is put into this kind of internet language that is very ephemeral. Is that the word? Because, in a week from now, that'll be gone and it'll be some new meme that'll be everybody will be joking about. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me kind of get your take on that, his reference.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. It reminded me of a clip I saw of him recently, a short clip where he's talking about a chicken. Did you see that?
The chicken.
He's like, he's saying like in his deadly serious way, and the camera slowly zooms in on him even while he's saying this. I can't replicate it because his funny accent and everything.
Okay, go on. I think.
And he's like, if he's like talking slow and he's like pointing with his hand. He goes, if you look into a chicken, you get a chicken and he's standing still, and you look closely at him and you look as close as you can into his eyes, and you see a look of total stupidity. But he stresses how the insanity of how stupid the chicken is. And this made me think of that. Like, it's just because it's him and he's funny, and he was also running through his arsenal of South American weapons, spears, and crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean, the dude has made some insane films. Like he's
I'm more interested in the Klaus Kinski and the guy and all that crazy shit he put up with that guy, and and his beautiful daughter Natasha Kinski, the model. She's absolutely gorgeous at that moment. Yeah. I believe the father was, I think, molesting her or something. He was pretty awful guy, Klaus Kinski. Apparently, when they were shooting, there's a documentary with Werner Herzog in South America, talking about how he was just crazy, and I think he shot a gun at some people. He actually tried to kill some people on the set or something.
Yeah,
the guy was a psycho, a total psycho.
When I first learned about him, I thought he's just eccentric actor. But the more I learned about him, I'm like, this guy is possessed or something.
Did you see that stage play he did about Jesus, and he's just standing there kind of ranting and angry at everybody, and they boo him off the stage in 5 minutes. Something where he's pretending he's Jesus, but he's just fucking yelling at everybody.
Yeah, maybe not his best performance there, I guess.
Well, it's something. It's interesting, I guess. If you want to talk about sort of GGL into your avant-garde, although that's technically I should be against that. That's very modernist. That's pure modernist art theory, where art is nothing but personal expression, no tradition.
Maybe we could bookend this conversation with a little. Maybe for the people who haven't been here since the beginning of the show, talk a tiny bit about your first book that you put out that was against modernism, because that obviously plays into the theme of the show. I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, but is it just simply your personal take on it, or do you see modernism as a real danger to Western civilization?
Oh yeah, it's a terrible thing. Yeah, absolutely. It was imposed on us. It was a manufactured fabrication, a word game like so many others that they've played since by these people. It was kind of, like I said, it was the art criticism of Clement Greenberg, which used, again, this bourgeois, flowery language, pseudo-intellectual babble to create a kind of game where people would look at abstract nonsense and then come up with their own personal interpretation as though they're the great philosopher. And what I see in this, and what this means to me, and this kind of talk. And that did away completely with tradition, so that all of art, all of a sudden, the definition of art was personal expression of the extreme kind, avant-garde. Yeah. And all you had was shock value from there on in. And we've had nothing but that fucking shit since.
It's madness.
Basically, that's the nuts and bolts of it. Yeah, and that's you have to call it modernism, because really that is what modernism entails. But it gets confused, and there's even intellectuals on the right that get confused by that, because that means they feel you're then against Nietzsche and these other people. But I just mean it strictly in the terms of visual art, and also there's excellent art movements that we call modernism today that we shouldn't, like Art Deco and Art Nouveau, which are not anything to do with excusing abstract squiggles with flowery language. They're just patently old school, aesthetically beautiful, and self-confident and so forth. But so there's all these different things as time goes on, and they lie and they lie and they lie, and they obscure the lines of distinction of where they have started the original lie.
Yeah. And, speaking of lies, the kings of lies here. Postmodernism is very small hat if you look at it in the sense that you can never actually name it. What is that? Well, it's an expression of the post, and well, what is it though? And like, how do I judge it? There's never the meaning is always shifting and moving in this.
All those movements that modernism are bullshit. Yeah, conceptualism.
It's madness. It's madness, and as such, it alienates the viewer. It becomes this creepy, super liberal elitism, whereby they like, I am associated with postmodernism, therefore I'm above the rest of you. And it's the anti-art in the sense that it's crushing, how do I say this? It's a poison in civilization. Then on the flip side, you see that like the arts education, school, etc., art institutions, galleries, they're female dominated, and you better believe these are the hardcore feminists. So you can see how it's become this kind of machine. It's a cultural Marxist machine, very, very dangerous. And again, that's what I'm going to be writing my book and my art curriculum about. That's what this show is fighting against, is by celebrating nationalist culture, reconnecting us. So having someone like yourself on the show is so valuable to that mission, and really, really grateful for everything that you brought today and all the things that you had to share. Yeah, and also thanks to people in the chat. It was exciting to kind of jam on ideas and get some questions and comments. You guys totally vibe with what we're doing, what we're about here. And on that, let me just ask you, do you have any closing thoughts before I do the last video?
No, yeah. Check out my books. There's the Aegean science fiction series, which is like, I do believe science fiction is important. It's if we did have a functioning, healthy society, it's one of those really optimistic kind of genres that involves like having a concept of any future at all. Even if it's dystopian, at least it's a imaginative kind of speculation. And I think it's a very important, overlooked kind of genre that I wanted to have from our, let's say, our perspective, or at least without any woke bullshit, because so much of it gets poisoned by that. And then I have my art book, as we discussed, probably my sort of life's manifesto, I guess, in a way, if you want. That's the first one. And then there's Guts, of course, which if you want a bit of crazy exploitation, titillation, it's there. And there'll be 3 more of those for sure anyways. And then we'll get that done.
Good. Very good.
And whatever. That's it. That's AUREUS Press. That's what I'm on.
Brilliant. The links to that is in the show description. Okay, so links are there. Go ahead and knock them out, check them out, share them in your networks, get on board, get involved. So let's close out the show with a really beautiful, uplifting video that is a perfect example of what I would call Imperium art. And once again, thank you to the chat. Thank you to Brendan. And we will stay in touch. So
okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Bye.
Who are you? I'm not talking about your name or your occupation. I'm talking about something bigger, something deeper. I'm talking about your connection to a culture, a history, a destiny, an identity that stretches backwards and flows forwards for centuries. An identity you can glimpse in the face of a grandparent or a child. An identity you know through experience, through people, through places, through music. Our ancestors had a strong sense of their identities. They could say, I'm a Roman, a Saxon, a Dane. Some could say, I'm a European. To be exiled from their communities and identities would be a fate worse than death. Today, we seem to have no idea who we are. We're rootless. We've become wanderers. Perhaps we'll also become seekers. We're often told that being an American, or a Briton, or a German, or any other European nationality is about being dedicated to a collection of abstractions and buzzwords. Democracy, freedom, tolerance, multiculturalism. But a nation based on freedom is just another place to go shopping. It's a country for everyone, and thus a country for no one. It's a country in which we ourselves have become strangers. Man doesn't live and man doesn't die for abstractions like freedom. Man lives and dies for a homeland, for a people and its future, for beauty, for the power of being part of something bigger than oneself. Who are we? We aren't just white. White is a checkbox on a census form. We are part of the people's history, spirit, and civilization of Europe. This legacy stands before us as a gift and as a challenge. For what our ancestors took for granted, we must discover and we must renew. Some might say that our task is impossible. But nothing necessary is impossible. So long as we avoid and deny our identity, at a time when every other people is reasserting its own, we will have no chance to resist our dispossession, to find another horizon. So who are we? I guess the real question is, are we ready to become who we are?